Welcome to Mercedes and the Chap, a show dedicated to helping humans become extraordinary. Here we'll hone a well-rounded roadmap for us to step into our potential in all things relationships, work, purpose, and legacy. Chap. Chappy Chap.
The definition of brilliance for Isabella Menna?
Yes, I think I have done it today. I have met the most emotive individual on the planet, as far as I know. And I am entranced.
Beautiful, intelligent, and emotive. We have found it. And
it exists.
You will see it as well.
And she teaches others how to do this.
Which is insane. I mean, it's a confidence consulting, emotional coach. She's also the pregame MC for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Just a little perk there.
Just on the side, no big deal. Professionally trained, Meitner-trained professional actress. She's been in feature films.
I don't know. I don't have any movies I'm making, but I'm hiring her. That's all I know.
Yeah, and we have. So absolutely amazing woman. Very glad, and I mean that with all of our guests. But everybody's different, right? But in very few people occupy a space
of magnificence
that Isabella occupies.
This is on a next level game as far as humans go in my mind, just because. Well, she's kind of like an alien, and I'm excited to share that with the audience. We're going to get into how to up your confidence game.
That's right.
And what emotions look like in the human body, which sounds kind of woo-woo. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I'm going to let you guys decide for yourself. But in any case, I think it's going to definitely help our audience level up in life.
Yeah, let's do it.
Like that. All right, let's go. Let's get into it. Isabella Menna. Hello, darling.
Hello.
You are looking gorgeous over there.
Thank
I love the yellow.
Thank you.
I am a lucky man.
I agree that I am equally as lucky too.
Oh.
Yes.
Are you lucky?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty lucky. So that's good. And it sounds like we all have a bunch of confidence rolling through our bodies right now, which is why it's great to have Isabella on the show, because she is the confidence consultant.
Here.
Yes. Thank you.
You're going to show us today how to construct our confidence, is what I hear.
We are going to play with what confidence means to us individually, and we're going to just roll and have some fun.
I love that. So maybe just start off there, the 101, the basics of confidence, because it is kind of an elusive word,
of
right?
Course.
What does confidence look like? Maybe in a verbal definition, like how can we articulate what confidence is in the body?
I'm going to put it as simple as this. It's being proud of every decision you choose to make.
I love that. So this means that when you make a decision, it has to be in integrity, in alignment with who you're here to be.
Does it have to be? Technically,
no.
But
to be confident in it.
To be confident, you have to do X, Y, and Z. The way that I like to look at confidence is it is individual to that person. Who am I to say that my good is good or that my bad is bad? My job is to hold space for each and every single person I have the pleasure of working with, hold non-judgmental space for them to grow, to be vulnerable, I call it sitting in the guck.
I love that. So basically like feel the shit to feel the shift, as they say.
My Balinese maths teacher always talked about, it was called cleaning the shit out of your pockets. He would always say it like that. I don't always express it the same way, but I definitely say sitting in the guck. So when it comes to confidence, bringing it back to knowing you have a choice. I don't have to agree with your choice, but I'm here to respect it, to hear why you chose it, and to celebrate what you're proud of.
And so that's what you're doing as the consultant, right?
Yes.
So if I'm your client, and I'm, I feel like I've come to this meeting with you and I'm not my most confident self, or the self that I feel like I should be walking around is, first of all, I'm shooting on myself. Maybe that's a conversation we
definitely so. Because I would ask, well, what does should mean to you? What does confidence mean to Mercedes?
Yeah. And what the should piece of it, that's a big part as well. if I'm not showing up for what I think I'm supposed to because of my domestications and the culture I was brought up in, then I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Like I am wrong. I am bad. And now I have shame and guilt and now
punishment.
I've spiraled down.
And I am in the world of always reminding those around me, no shame, no guilt, and no punishment.
So, and a lot of what you talk about with confidence is about being in truth with whatever truth means for you.
Honoring yourself, yes.
Yeah. And a lovely description I heard once of truth was that it always has to be inclusive, expansive, and loving.
I love that. Yes, that's beautiful.
I think that is true.
Yes.
It feels true to me.
It does.
Yes. But so that idea of confidence when you work with a client, let's say you're working with a man, or we can do it with you as well.
Yes, I work with men and women.
Yeah. But because a large part of our audience is men, I'm just trying to make sure we cover that as well.
I'm happy we're doing so.
Those pieces that you work on, like aligning the emotional part, the intellectual part, the spiritual part, all those pieces, how do you make that simple enough for people to understand if they're just entering this work for the very first time?
Right. I'm going to give you two separate ways that I could go about this question. First, I would just get to know them. I would say, hi, how are you? Tell me about yourself. That's important for a couple different reasons. First, I see how they feel about themselves, the way that they carry themselves in the room. I do my sessions over Zoom. So I know it seems silly to talk about the way they position their camera, but that's important. It says a lot about a person. What's their lighting? Do they want to be seen or do they not? It's something for me to take note of.
Well, that's interesting because one of the questions I had that, and I don't want to sidetrack, but I feel like this is in a similar vein of that, is like the looking how you feel or feeling how you look or like dressing. Dressing for success is very strange because, unfortunately, the world we live in, at least in this Western culture of the United States, in this case, is when I see someone wearing a suit, I'm just kind of like, it's how you're held in that suit.
Yes, it's
right? Just because you put it on doesn't really mean anything.
Oh, yes, that's the truth. Well, that's, I want to tie this all together. So the point that the suit, if putting on the suit makes you feel more powerful, good. But you're also, by choice, giving the power to the suit rather than giving it back to yourself.
Well, what's interesting about that, because a 15-year-old boy can put on a Superman outfit and go walk around, but then when Superman puts on the Superman outfit, right?
There's a different
There's definitely something, because it's not the outfit. Right?
It's not the outfit. It's the person who chooses to be one with the outfit.
Which is really tragic. Why superheroes have to wear the outfit? It actually kind of messes up what you're saying, right?
That is an interesting concept of like externalizing your power, right?
Yes. Well, we have so many good conversations happening here. I'm going to just play and jump and we'll just roll. Mercedes, can you please repeat what you just said?
Just about externalizing your power.
Oh, yes. I love that you bring up that point. A lot of the time I speak with my clients about, say they get really angry about something, right? They're full of rage.
Yeah.
Okay, let's honor that. Tell me about the rage. And then I can go into that we're allowed to be joyful with rage. We're allowed to love the rage. We're allowed to enjoy the rage. But first, let's simply just look at the rage. If I felt the rage because the barista at the coffee shop was texting instead of taking my order. And that made me spiral because my boyfriend at home was texting when I was making dinner and I wanted to have a conversation. All of those are little trigger points for me. The point that I'm going to use the word broke into my rage because of the barista. I am giving the power to her. I want to remind us in that moment we have a choice. Okay, you feel the rage. It doesn't make it a bad thing. It just means you feel the rage. So let's honor it because you're your own teammate. You don't have to be against the rage. We don't have to be angry or disappointed or shame, guilt, and punish ourselves because we're feeling a certain way. Because when we shovel that down, we're giving the power to everybody else outside of us instead of honoring truly our body's response. So, by giving the power to the barista because she was texting during my coffee, now I'm full of rage and I'm trying to justify my reaction. But if I choose to take that and I choose to say, wow, she really triggered me when she was texting. Well, what was it? What was it that really hurt me, that made me feel full of rage? Because if we focus on 5 main emotions, and this is what I work with my clients: grief, love, joy, fear, and rage. No baby pops out of the womb full of rage. Mm-hmm. Rage, I believe, is either from fear or grief. But that's first. So if the text messages, and you guys are following me so far, right?
Oh, yeah.
If the text sparks up the rage in me, then I must do the choice, do the work, make the active choice to do the work and say, well, what was it in that moment? It could be, and I'll do a whole process on it. Okay, it was the texting. Why was the texting? Because texting doesn't really bother me. It was when she was texting. It was the time that she texted over being present with me. Oh, okay, I'm still angry with that. Well, what does that mean? That means I'm not being heard. If I'm not being heard, that's either going to branch off into my self-worth, because does anyone want to listen to what I'm saying anyways? Or is it that I'm disappointed with myself for not being able to hold my boundaries? And if I can't hold my boundaries and no one ever listens to me, then how am I ever going to get the respect that I'm looking for in the world? You're following that cycle.
100%.
That's my choice in that moment, is where I choose to put the power. If I choose not to think about it, if I choose not to do the work, then the barista messed up my order and she's the cause on why I'm angry that morning.
Yeah, and so this conversation is really about choosing to be the victim or choosing to learn in that moment.
It's choosing to see the choice.
Well, and the reality too is she might be texting her grandmother that's about to die.
Oh, she so could. The point is
way more important than you, buddy.
Well, the thing is it doesn't matter who she's texting.
Agreed, 100%. 100%.
What matters is I chose to give her the power to upset me.
And she probably didn't even want it.
Well, it doesn't matter what she wanted. Like, her side of the street is her side of the street. All you can do is deal with your side.
And with that, the choice on there's no right and wrong. If I was talking to someone, I'd say, do you want to let go of the rage or do you want to keep it? If you choose to keep it, let's be angry. Let's enjoy that we gave her the power. Let's enjoy that we like sparking off like that. Maybe it excites us. I'm not asking for us to choose away from that reaction. I want to bring awareness that you have a choice.
You're inviting.
Yes.
And if you proffer for the rage, or the rage is, where do you go? Where would
I go with it?
Yeah.
Well, why does it feel good? What feels good about it? Is it an emotional response? Do you like that you kind of get butterflies on your shoulders and you feel that spark of maybe you have to defend yourself?
Yeah.
Well, what do we like about that defense? Is it exciting? Is it because we feel scared that we're not going to make it? Again, we go back to those 5 emotions. So what does that spark mean? And my clients know I like slam my chest like a gorilla. But I always want to remind us to take it back to our body. Our body's always speaking to us. If we call the outside world the matrix tells us that we solve problems inside these big, beautiful brains. That these big, beautiful brains are supposed to be how we lead our life. When it's truly not about these big, beautiful brains. They have their time, they have their place, they have their power, and we want to honor them. But there's also a time in relationships that it's our bodies. So when your body sparks up, it's speaking to you.
It's intelligent, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm guessing too, from a practical standpoint, up till how many hundreds of years ago, warrior mentality, which is what some of this is good for,
1,010%.
Was high on the scale of a positive attribute. And we still have it. And we've been schools trying to teach us not to, you got to be more cool about it or whatever. But what you're saying is that is a huge asset.
Yes.
And you just got to know how to deal with it.
It's knowing how to use it as your superpower, bringing it back to the superheroes I actually love how we just full circled that.
That was you. That wasn't me.
But it was with the both of you. I can't exist without this kind of power. You're like, okay, Isabella. Fine, I'll take it. But with that, if we, instead of imagining actually, oh gosh, this is so much more beautiful than I actually just realized. Okay, so stay with me and tell me if you lose me. At first, we talked about a superhero and a physical outfit. We a lot of the time believe that the power of understanding our emotions is supposed to look like a physical outfit. Because if it's not physical, it seems impossible and like magic, out of our reach, out of our learning capabilities. Now, if we're going to look to the superhero again and realize, just like the suit, it's not about the costume. It's about the person who just adds to the costume. Mm-hmm. Then that awareness, then the self-awareness of choice is your superhero costume. Am I making sense in that?
Yeah, that choice is always the answer.
Well, yes, it's always the answer. And it's your superhero power. It's your cape. Mm-hmm. It's your cape.
And so choice is really another word for mindfulness or other ways.
Self-awareness, yes, a million. Being in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Presence.
Again, when people aren't in the moment, that's because they're in these big, beautiful monkey minds. They're racing around the things I have to do, the things I didn't do, shoulda, coulda, woulda. They're all this hyperness, all this energy outside of themselves. They're giving the power once again outside of themselves.
Instead of bringing it to right now.
Instead of truly bringing it in their body. So bringing it back to somebody's defense, like a warrior, for instance, right? I wish I could remember the technical term. There's actually a technical term. I can give it for notes later if any audience members are curious. I'm going to call it the cookie analogy for a lack of...
I like cookies.
I love cookies. Yeah, me too. What kind of cookies?
When Cher makes the oatmeal...
She hasn't made me an oatmeal cookie
She
yet.
made me one.
Oh, did she?
She made a couple, actually.
Then I guess that's the first person I want to talk to after this.
Rub it in.
Pretty good, yeah.
You and your oatmeal chocolate chip
you
cookies.
You can find Cher at ilovecookies.com. No.
I'd be like,
I don't know about that website. That might be a
I will
website.
taste test, okay? No.
Right.
With
the cookie analogy.
Yes, the cookie analogy. Thank you, Mercedes. So the cookie analogy. As a little kid, say there's a cookie jar, right? And you really want the cookie. And you can't have the cookie. So you stomp on the ground and you say, I want the cookie. I want that cookie. And you start crying and you're stomping. And your parent walks up and says, well, you're not going to get a cookie if you act like that. Your tone, make it more pleasant. Say please and thank you. Don't stomp your feet. So they go, can I please have a cookie? And they're holding their breath. And they're feeling frozen. And then the parent says, okay, that's better. Takes down the cookie jar and gives them a cookie. We're building pattern. Mm-hmm. We're building your body's response to that situation.
The body keeps the score.
Oh, the body definitely keeps score. Great book. And that's where we hold our trauma. That's where we hold our beautiful defense mechanisms that are there to protect us. They're not there to ruin your life or to make you have not a great relationship with your friends, your family, or your significant other. They're there because your body loves you and your body was doing its best to get you that cookie. So I want to give our power back to us as little kids because we're retraining ourselves. You have to be hungry to put in the work. It's so funny because we're talking about cookies. Hungry. But with that, you have to be hungry to sit there and do the work. So in the moment of, and you guys are following what I'm saying. So
totally.
Right? Okay, yay. Thank you.
We're reparenting our inner child.
We 1,010%. So it's about knowing when where do I want to go with this? There's so many different avenues. So we want to remind everyone that it's not that the stomping was bad. No, the stomping's good. The stomping and Balinese mask work activates your willpower. It's important to stomp. It is important to feel your feet on the ground and activate that response. That warrior response is important and so very healthy for our bodies. But we've been patterned to believe that the stomping's bad, that the stomping doesn't get us the cookie, that it's bad if you want to stomp. And everybody wants to stomp.
Well, you're spooling up like your jet engines before your fight. I mean, you're like getting that the turbos are starting to wind up so you can go for your race.
Well, and it's about you can still stomp, just communicate.
Yeah.
It's I need a minute and you stomp all way out of the kitchen.
And I love that you bring up that piece of what emotion is, energy in motion.
Yes.
And that when we just stuff it down, we're really just storing it down.
Yeah, we're band-aiding it.
Yeah.
We're
So
just
how do
waiting for it to explode and be like, oh my gosh, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, that
Well,
wasn't
it came
me.
from shoveling it down.
Yeah.
It came from stopping the breath and the contact, from stopping the breath and the contact.
Right.
It came from not honoring yourself.
So when we're moving through this client experience,
Yes.
really, right? So when you have a client who has been stuffing down their emotions from potentially and most likely a childhood trauma, a childhood pattern, some sort of a deep ingrained groove there that told him I can't express myself that way. It's dangerous. I don't get the cookie. I don't get what I want when I do that, so I can't.
Yes.
How do you open that channel back up? Because it's not new. It was always there. It's just been closed for a while. How do you help them open that channel back up? What's the practice or what's the mechanism?
Specifically, I have to work with where that person is in that moment. So say we work through that.
Okay.
Now where are they? Was that a lot for them to emotionally digest? Because we're in the emotional gym. I remind people that just like the physical gym, if I walk in every day and I do 45 minutes of abs, in a week I don't have an 8-pack, but hey, I did a lot of work. But if I go 45 minutes every day and I do my abs, eventually I'm going to get that 8-pack. But if I do 45 minutes once out of a month, my gosh, no. So you're in the emotional gym. So I have to gauge where they are in the gym. That's my job, is to make sure that I don't push someone to the brink that they get so lost.
Or the burnout or whatever. Right?
Exactly. That they injure themselves.
Uh-huh.
It's my responsibility to thoughtfully encourage and guide them to the beat of their own drum. Mm-hmm. That there is no wrong and right. They both are allowed to exist at the same time.
And then how does that with what you're,
No, please don't be.
With what you're talking about, kind of like utilizing your emotional power, physical and emotional.
Right.
How, when you're a guy and you've identified a place that you're going to go meet a potential woman, and you haven't been on a date with her, you just know that it's target rich, and you know there's a couple of Isabellas and Mercedes there, and and you go in, and what do you like other than take a shower and put on deodorant? Right. What do you need to be like? How is these turbos spooling up, and how do you use them instead of just kicking the door in and be like, I am here. How do you do it right? How do you do it in a way that like you're channeling that?
Beautiful question.
So this question is, what's your prep work going into a circumstance where might meet a woman you want to attract?
Right. Agree.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
I would say the same response that I just gave to Mercedes was it depends on that person, but let's make it just more general, right? General, like if someone could just slap on some skills. First, I'd ask, what are you looking for when you go there? What are you looking for? If the person's result-oriented, I want to meet this girl, I want to get her number, this is exactly what I want, and if I don't get that, I'm going to be really upset. Oh my gosh, yeah, me too, especially if I'm result-oriented. If we're result-oriented, we're never in the moment because we're trying to get to the end. So we even come in more assertive, more transactional.
Well, it's like you're focusing on the destination and not the journey.
1,010%.
This is like anxious base, like an
Well,
future
it's inside of our
existing.
body of being scared we're not going to get something. So first I'd say, oh my gosh, do you like where you're going to meet these women? Like, do you like hanging out there? I would go with yes. If you go yes, oh, good. So you're going somewhere you actually enjoy, somewhere that makes you feel good. Is there music? Is there drinks? Are you going to drink? Are you going to listen to music? What are you doing there? I hope that they say, I love going there. Oh my gosh, there's beautiful women. Tonight's the night. I'm like, yes. So they put on their deodorant. Also with their outfit, not only do we want to put on our deodorant, but put on something that smells really good. Even if you're doing a Zoom date.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Put it on so you feel, because it's about feeling confident in your own skin with your own choices. And then your outfit, make sure you can move in it. Because so much of the time we think that we're supposed to just stay still. But when we stay still, our body is not able to speak to us. And we break the contact because usually we hold our breath. There's so many more intricate practices, whether it's breath work or mirror practices or dancing I'd have them do or speaking. There's so many small practices. But so we want them to smell good. We want them to feel good and where they're going, that they're personally excited, even if they were to meet no one. Do you still like where you're going? Yes. Okay. Now go have fun. Go be in the moment. Go for you.
Right.
If you go for you and you happen to be really enjoying yourself, because it's kind of like when you walk in any room. If someone's sitting there feeling the music and they're kind of having their own dance party and they're not like, excuse my French, but if they're just like just grooving and with that welcoming, like, I'm confident in where I'm at. I like being here. I'm not here to prove something to anybody else. I like being here. I feel good. I smell good. I'm like really feeling it. You know?
I'm enjoying being me.
I'm enjoying where I'm at and yes, feeling everything. Then someone walks by and they're like, oh my gosh, he looks like he's having fun.
Well, and another, take a more, monotonous type thing, the grocery store. And if you're a guy and you're going to the grocery store and you're like, I don't want to be, but you're like, but I need to pick up girls and I hear girls in the grocery store. But if you go and you're like, I'm going to make this chicken tagine from like Casablanca tonight. And I've had this recipe that I'm dying and nobody else is coming to my house, but I'm making it.
Right.
And you're looking around and you're all into it. Somebody's going to notice that.
Someone's so going to notice
And they're
that.
going to be like, what are you making there?
Yeah, what are you so into? What are you enjoying
And my
so much, and
response
how can I be a part of it?
Is like, look at this chicken tagine recipe. And like, what is that? Oh, it's from Morocco.
Yes.
Look, I was there. Look at these pictures.
Yes.
You're done.
Chris, those are moments of gold.
Right.
Those are only able to be caught, appreciated, and built on through being in the moment. We can only be in the moment when we're out of these big, beautiful brains. We can only be out of these big, beautiful brains if we're enjoying where we are and how we feel. We can only feel if we honor our body, our breath, our movement. But that is hard work. It's hard work to breathe.
You're right.
From down here, not from up here. To breathe from down here. I again say to my clients, there's shelves in our body. The Alexander technique teaches you about emotional shelves of holding trauma and pain and all of the nitty gritty, right? Even our joy too, everything in our body. But our shelves are here to protect us. That breath, breathing underneath our belly button. If underneath your belly button, you imagine this big mouth that's talking to you and breathing. And you work from there actively in your imagination. You put forth effort imagining a mouth underneath your belly button, speaking from there, communicating, breathing. Your body's going to move more. Your voice, your register of your voice is going to be more trustworthy, more authentic. But if I'm outside of myself and I'm up here on this upper register, not only does it feel a little more uncomfortable, but I feel a little more flighty. You don't trust me as much because I don't trust myself as much because I'm outside. I'm on this up shelf. I'm assertive. I'm result oriented. The power's outside of me. It's with the barista. But if I choose to remember that the mouth is underneath my belly button And I choose to remember that I can stomp my feet and communicate my needs. And I'm allowed to enjoy what I do. It's inviting. It feels good. People want to be around someone who enjoys themselves. It's so important. I also, when you're doing emotional work, I have a sensation of emotions that are clearing over me right now. I don't know if both of you feel that right now. If you do, breathe into it because it's healthy and it's good and we can be clearing things in our own bodies. But with that said, these little moments of magic, why do I feel like crying? Or why are my hands sweaty? Or what are those chills? That's your body speaking to you. And you just are going to learn the vocab. You're going to learn the language. I am that person to help you learn the language without judgment.
So when you go out into the world and into the dating sphere, let's say maybe that's not you now, but if you do, or if you were to, you are definitely the most emotive person I've ever met in my entire life.
That's so sweet, Mercedes. Thank
you. It
you.
is a compliment, absolutely. And you've also had incredible training in that direction, which is, really something I think significant and special. And obviously most of the world does not do that or even know that it can exist in their bodies. Yeah. So when you go out into the world and you may be looking and open to dating somebody, what kind of expression are you looking for in another person, in a man, perhaps, if that's your...
Yes.
So Isabella looking for him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hear
because
this.
If I met her, if I'm a man, and I met you at a bar, I'm like, this woman has emotions in her body that she is willing to express. Like she is emoting. And as a man...
It's very, very, very attractive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, very much.
Because she's experiencing all of it. So if I'm a man, I'm probably, and especially if I'm in a time in my life, which is pretty much all of men's life, where they're sex focused.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, well, the pleasure that I can experience with her is one thing, but the pleasure that I can watch her experience, which will in turn give me pleasure because she's so emotive, would be exciting.
Yes.
So that's just where I'm.
And what I see is someone who isn't holding back and shielding their true emotions. Because as a guy, and if I'm in a relationship with somebody, I like to know that they'll tell me if there's a problem, or even better, they don't have to tell me, because if it's you, then if you can't see there's a problem or you can't tell she likes you, then you're got major something's going on. You're probably not actually breathing or alive.
Well, the communication,
communicate.
We always know,
Yes.
we've all heard communication is everything. It keeps relationships together. It keeps them sustainable, lasting, and growing and becoming more and more beautiful, right? And relationships is what we're here for. This is what makes life amazing, a huge part of it.
And it puts a smile on on the guy's face when you are there
communicating like
that. Because we've been to lunch before, and we're at lunch for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and the check's been sitting there, and we're just like, this is so awesome. Like, it's like people are like, are they fighting or are they buddy?
They're like smiling and not at the same time.
They're fighting.
It's like you're wrestling in the air.
Between you. It's fun. I like that.
I'm watching the wrestling happen. All the emotions are in the ring right now.
And we don't have to go to the gym later.
We don't. No. We already did the emotional gym right here.
But again, all this, and Mercedes and I have talked about this a lot, right? And it's a subject that is, I don't want to say uncomfortable for guys, but it's kind of like the self-help books. And the reason I don't like self-help books is because I really don't like to read stuff.
And all I do is read self-help
I know.
books.
If I'm going to read stuff, it's got to be, like, there's some other things I've got to be reading, unfortunately. But with regard to, this is one of those words that when, I think for a lot of guys, me included, but not anymore after knowing, people like you for a long, long time, is the concept of presence. And it's like, when you say presence, it's like, oh God, this is some Buddha hippie stuff. It's like, no, it's not. This is exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
And the breathing is the technique.
It's been demonized. Yeah.
I don't know why. It's like, it's awesome.
Because it's scary, guys.
It's hard to achieve it, but once you achieve it, it's like the brief moment of enlightenment.
Yeah. Well, it's also knowing that you're never going to fully achieve it. It's also knowing that the moment you sit in that pain and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so hard. Guess what? There's more. because you just brought a new level of self-awareness, which is good. Growing is painful, but that doesn't make it bad.
What also feels good at the same time, like you were saying, you can hold those two emotions at the same time. And that is like I feel like that's just the thought of that doesn't even combobulate.
Yeah, you're allowed to bake a cake.
Yeah.
As my teacher, would always teach us, it's about those, if you're working on those 5 emotions, then you're baking a cake. Yeah, you're baking a cake with different ingredients every time. That's why every situation isn't the same. That's why being present and in the moment's important.
Yeah, and I want to bring back. I'm going to bring back
please.
the question that we spun off on another rabbit hole here, but I love it in just a moment, because that idea of like I experienced it when I had an uncle dying, and the grief that comes with that, of course. And at the same time, I have a niece being born. You know what I mean? And I can experience the joy here and the grief here at the same time. It's happening in the same person, in the same body, and simultaneously. Yeah. And yes, I can focus on one or the other and let it kind of pull me into whichever place I want to go. Yeah. But like you say, it's a choice.
Yeah. So I love you brought up death and grief and joy and the whole shebang of it, baking a cake. I say this to my clients and also about myself. I believe I'm a beautiful piece of Swiss cheese. The reason I say that is I have holes in it. I have holes in me, but it's not bad. I'm still a whole piece of cheese and I taste really stinking good. With that said, my dad died a year ago. Sorry. Thank you. Me too. Me too. I wasn't ready. But that's the beautiful part of life is my relationship with him is just mine. My experience in losing him at this time is individual to me. Now my choice is seeing that I can be in the most pain and still smile. I'm allowed to have tears rolling down my face as I'm screaming, and then I'm allowed to start laughing and I'm allowed to smile because life, we're baking cakes. We're baking a lot of cakes. You're allowed to be everything and nothing at the same time, and there is no wrong in that.
This is your recipe.
It's my recipe, and I'm honoring it. Because by honoring it, I'm allowed to release what no longer serves me. So then I can grow through that grief. Because morbid, but honest, I've had a family member die every month the last year. It's been horrible. But with that, you know what's been great? Each death is different. And I know that if people don't understand exactly what I'm saying, that might sound like very like, oh, Isabella, that's kind of like way too intense. Or what do you mean death is death? It's not. It's not. There's somebody in your life that you can love that passes away, and the next day you're able to watch a movie and enjoy the movie without thinking of them being dead. Now, if it's your dad, for instance, I couldn't watch a movie in over 3 months because we always watch movies together. And I couldn't watch the movie. I was feeling so much grief. Everything is different. And a lot of the time, we try to clump it up. Death, rage, happiness, marriage. We clump everything together as if it's bangs and a bob. And I use this example a lot. But if I was a hairstylist and I gave everybody that we're with right now bangs and a bob, not all of us are going to look good with bangs and a bob.
I might.
You're right, Chris. How dare I?
Anything with me.
Anything. Next time, bangs and a bob it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome very much.
That would be a true miracle.
True miracle. But with that, it's not one size fits all. It's knowing what fits them, what hairstyle's best for them. And I answering these questions because in my mind I am. I just want to make sure that that it's sinking in the way
like in this
that I can feel it.
Independent on whatever thing you're going through in life, it's going to be specific how you receive it, how you allow it to go through your body, and then how you choose to interact with it after.
Yes,
or
and honor it. How you choose to say, oh my gosh, this hurts. oh, I'm going to grow so much.
This is good, right? Because I have this question because we're almost out of time.
Yes.
But I'm going to defer to you unless.
Well, I mean,
the gentleman question.
Yes, I do want to pull that back in if we can.
I would love to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want me to rephrase it?
No, go for it.
Just the idea of because you are this emotive person, and it's really, apparent, I'm sure, to the humans in your life, when you do meet or you go in and to meet and you're open to meeting men, what is it that you're looking for? Is it someone who is as emotive as you, or are you, because you have all this going through, do you look to someone with more of that stoicism and structure? And I don't know, I want to almost call it grounded, and that's not an insult to you, and I don't think you take it as one, but someone who's really present.
Yes.
But also maybe doesn't have as much flowing through them at all times.
I'm going to point out something beautiful that you said. Are we allowed to have emotions through us, and it actually grounds us? Not allowing them takes our grounding away because the power's no longer in us. If we sit in it, then we're actually truly grounded. I'm after work ethic. I am attracted to a man with a wonderful work ethic because life is work. It's a lot of stinking work. And I want someone who loves working.
I love that you say that, because I'm always afraid of saying the word work to men, especially. I feel like they're like, I don't want to take on more responsibility.
Well,
women are like, don't worry, I'll just slap more on my back. But I hope to, be a part of and watch that paradigm shift during my lifetime.
And with that, I used to not work ethic. It was like one of my many. Originally, I was like, love. I'm looking for love. I don't care what they do as long as they love me. Love is so beautiful. Yes, I'm not saying, well, look for someone with work ethic that you don't love. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that someone can love you, but if they don't have work ethic, they can't show up for themselves. Ignore that they're not going to show up for their physical work, like in an office or wherever they are. They're not going to also show up for themselves, because in order to breathe, to stomp our feet, to honor ourselves, that's work that only we can do.
So if I'm in college, in a college class or graduate class or whatever, and you're in there and you're in there with me, or not me, but somebody, I'd be the professor, of course.
Okay. I was just about to ask, are we both students? Are you the professor? Am I the professor?
I'm actually not even there. I'm not like the guy down the hall.
You're the guy.
But you're in the class with a guy.
Yes.
And you have two kinds of guys. You have one that is hey, how's it going? Yeah, hey man, what are we doing? And then you have the other one that's like, oh, my name's Stuart. I'm just going to work real hard and stuff like that. That's the guy, though, really, maybe.
I love that you said that, because not technically, no.
Mm-hmm.
Not technically.
Right.
The guy that's very studious and he's very much studying and he's, in that kind of motion.
But caring about what he's actually doing right there.
But is that work, or is that fear of failure?
Mm.
And I don't want someone who's scared of failing, because life is only about failing. It's about falling in the right direction.
Right.
It is the work. Right. You can only do it so many times until you succeed. So it's not the person that's sitting there very much studying as much as they can. Yes, because then they can't be in the moment, because they're in these brains trying to solve the problem so that they can avoid the pain or the failure or whatever that brings with it. So I don't know who the guy is kind of walking around like this.
Luckily, there's other guys out there. It's you guys.
Yes. But with that, out of there's two, I guess I just have to I need to know more about them.
Thank God there's not. Just don't be, I guess the point is maybe don't be either one of them.
You know what it is?
It's not about don't be a.
Yes, thank you, Mercedes.
Not shooting on ourselves.
Yeah, it's knowing that wherever you are right now, there's a reason and a lesson in where you are. If you don't like it, guess what? You have the power to change it. So if you aren't happy, the ball is actually in your court. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't want to take that self-responsibility, then you will always find an excuse for the reason you're unhappy. You will always have an excuse, and it will sound really good to you. It will be such a strong excuse that you choose to live with that excuse and identify with it. It's a lot of hard work to choose to re-identify what you stand for, to choose to grow, to choose to say, oh gosh, that badge, when I was looking for just love, I found someone that could not work for themselves. They couldn't work for us. They couldn't ultimately honor themselves. So how are they supposed to honor me? Very elementary, but it's as elementary as we say, communication is key. But people think communicating is holding my cool and telling you that I'm very upset that you went out last night with your friends and I said this cool and I'm communicating properly. I work outside of that.
Yeah.
What I have them do is you're actually not happy about it. So did you say he could go? And if you did, then it's your responsibility of your own emotions to either honor yourself and say, baby, gosh, I'm really not cool with you going. And we can also sit and why and we help you communicate that. Or it's, I told him he could go. I have to accept that I chose that.
Right.
Either way, you still have a choice in the way who you give the power to. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, we can go on and on for days on this, and we are definitely
luckily we can actually.
We can.
Now, and you can as well, right? Because let's talk about where we can find you.
Yes,
right?
please.
And on Instagram, it's Confidence Consulting Co.
Yes.
Like Confidence Consulting Company, but Confidence Consulting Co. And then the other one is the website confidenceconsultingco.com.
Yes. And if they go to Instagram, I have a very easy link. It's very anticlimactic on there. Why? Because you have to be hungry for the work. I'm not going to sit there and convince you because it's hard work.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Thank you.
Gosh.
Yeah, this has been, as always, life's about the journey. And there was something I was thinking maybe this would go or whatever, and thankfully we're open to how things go, and it was much.
You mean we were being
beautiful.
Present?
Yes, I was trying.
We were playing and enjoying ourselves.
We were, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for holding a space that we can show people that they have control and they can choose exactly what they want to honor themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella, for doing this work and being the person who puts herself out there as a living example of what it looks like to be doing the work and to be emoting in a world that is a terrifying thing to do.
Thank you. That's very beautiful. Thank you.
And thank you guys for being with us today. If you want to be part of our community, please subscribe, comment, connect with us through the links below. We do this show every week, so catch us again next week. Bye for now.